Okay, so I'm not the only person that has heard it. Um, I'm not the only one that has experienced. For some background, my mother is wheelchair bound, and at this moment, there is something in the hallway, so she can't get all the way down to my room. And on this one night, my sister was asleep, my kids were asleep, nobody else was up, but I wasn't the only one that heard it. I was asleep, it was probably maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, and I heard this loud banging on my door that woke me up out of my sleep. So I'm thinking that maybe my door is locked, and the kids woke up and they came down the hall to come and get in the bed. So I jump up out of bed and I go and open the door, and nobody's out in the hallway. My mom is asleep, my sister and her daughter are asleep, and my kids are still asleep in their room. So I come back in my room and I'm like, that is crazy. I wasn't the only one that heard the knocking though. I asked my sister the next morning. She was like, no, I didn't knock on your door. The only place I have a camera is in my kids' room so I can check on them. So I went back to make sure they didn't get up in the middle of the night and come bang on my door. But they're 3 and 4, so they wouldn't do that. They would just come get in the bed. And when I checked, my mom was asleep. Now, there are times before this that I would hear people calling my name. And, because my mom is in the wheelchair, I would get up and go check to see if it was her, and she would be knocked out. My sister would be asleep. And, it sounded like a woman's voice, like a grown woman's voice, so it couldn't have been the kids. But yeah, like, the house isn't even old. It was built in like 2006. And we were the first ones to live here, so I don't know what's going on. But like I said, I am not the only person that has heard the banging on the door or people calling my name.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life, and why you still think about them?
So I know I'm going to delete this, but I just want to share it. So about 2 months ago, I was in the bathroom and I was preparing to take a shower. I love to take long, hot showers. So I'm cleaning out the shower walls, cleaning out the tub, just, getting ready to take my shower. No biggie. Long story cut short, while I'm cleaning and just about done, I have the strongest urge to take a bath. Not really a bath person. I don't do it that often because I prefer the shower. It's convenient. I love the water just beating down on my back, feeling it on my skin, all of these things. Long story cut short, I had started the practice in asking the water to cleanse me before I get into the shower, right? Didn't think that they had any sort of association with anything. On this particular day, when that urge came over me, I'm like, okay, cool, we'll make a thing of it. I go get my candles, let's take a bath. As soon as I got into the water, and I do mean as soon as, immediately upon getting into the water, I had the certain realization that this was just not just a bath, this was a spiritual bath, okay? And then a family member who had been struggling with certain ailments, bipolar, depression, alcoholism, they came over my mind, like to the forefront of my mind. And as I'm sinking my body down into the water, I immediately start to go into prayer. And I knew the purpose of the bath now. So I'm speaking, I'm praying, I'm getting emotional, but I'm staying focused because now I understand what the assignment is, okay? So at the end of this prayer, which I just thought was a regular prayer, I said, you can leave her now. You have served your purpose and you can leave her now. I've never read anything like this, never studied it, never researched it, none of these things. But these are the words that I ended the prayer with, okay? And never to return, right? For 3 days after this bath, the tub was stopped up. We did everything to try to open up the drain that was not clogged, okay? On the third day, I go back into the bathroom and I speak the words. You can leave now. never to return. I left the house. I come back. Tub is no longer stopped up. I understood the assignment.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life and why you still think about them?
This is going to be a lot, so I'm going to try to make this quick. So, about 5 or 6 years ago, for a month straight consecutively, I kept dreaming about this thing. So, the first time I dreamed about it, I was laying in my bed, and it was like my point of view, didn't even feel like a dream. And I felt something lumpy in my mattress, so I took the covers off, and a bunch of hands came through my mattress, started grabbing my legs, my chest and arms and head and neck, and it was pulling me through my mattress. So when it pulled me through, I ended up in this concrete pit, and the only light in the whole pit was from a crack that was in the corner on the top. And on the other side of the pit was this thing that I kept dreaming about. First time I ever dreamed about it, by the way. And it had very simple features, but it had long legs, no feet. It had really long arms. It kept straight down to its side like something off Minecraft. Had really long fingers. But the distinctive thing about it is it had like a Hey Arnold sideways football shaped head, long pointed ears, a perpendicular straight mouth, and perfectly circular yellow glowing eyes. It didn't say anything or do anything, but I knew that it was trying to take my soul. And I looked down, and this blue aura was coming out of my chest, and I was pulling it back in me, trying to keep it from coming out, and I woke up. Next, I had a dream that I was walking downstairs, went in the bathroom, looked in the mirror cracked, and my reflection turned into that thing. This is where it gets weird. I dreamed that I ran into it in a public restroom, and I couldn't get out of the restroom. The door was locked, and this time it smiled at me, and it had rows of jagged teeth like a shark. It tilted its neck back and opened its mouth, and its body fell to the ground like a pair of pants, and out of its mouth came someone that I knew personally. They had yellow glowing eyes and the same teeth. Then I had a dream that it opened my bedroom door while I was sleeping, also in my point of view, and it like scoots towards me without moving its legs and just floats and stares at me and smiles like it did. Then I woke up. The last dream I had about it, I dreamed that I looked outside and it just got from daylight to like a thunderstorm in a snap. It was standing in my yard, but this time it was wearing a white wedding dress with a veil and starts levitating back and forth in the air. It lifts its hands up, and a bunch of smaller versions of it come out of the ground, and they attack me and manage to get that blue aura out of my chest. Then I woke up. I haven't dreamed about it since then, and since that's happened to me, I have not been the same.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life and why you still think about them?
So I grew up in a very small city in southern Mississippi, right off the Gulf of Mexico, on the coast. And in the neighborhood I lived in, there's a lot, like about 10, 15 houses, and everybody knew everybody, okay? It wasn't like nobody, no, everybody knew everybody that lived in that neighborhood. So when I was about 17, me and my friend decided we were going to go to the river. My friend was like 18, 19 at the time, and she was a bigger woman. Like, she was, I was a small 17-year-old. I was very small. Well, there's a dude that lives up the road from my parents' house, and we had to pass in front of that dude's house to get to the river on the other side of the neighborhood. And so we were walking, talking, just going to the river, and we get to so there's a hill on his road. We get to the bottom of the hill, and this dude lived with his way older dad. His dad had to be like 80-something years old, and the dude that I'm talking about is like 30-something, 35. Well, we get to the bottom of the hill. When we get to the bottom of the hill, the old dude comes out of the fucking bushes. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was, but he comes out into the road, and he looks at us, and he looks at me, and then he looks at my friend, and then he goes, I wouldn't let him touch her, points to me, because he'll hurt her, regarding his son, talking about his son, and then just starts maniacally laughing like not a haha, no, like a maniacal evil laugh. And my friend was like, well, as long as I'm here, he's not gonna fucking touch her because I'm gonna hurt him. And the old dude's just continuously creepily laughing like that, and I'm just like, let's turn around, let's go the other way. And she's like, no, we're gonna walk right in front of him and he's not gonna do a damn thing. And so we walked right in front of him, and all he did was stare us down, mostly me, until we got past him, and we finally just went to the river, and nothing else happened that day. But I'll never forget that shit, because that laugh is like burned into my brain. Like what the like, the dude was fucking mentally disturbed, okay? Like, the old dude, I don't know what the fuck his problem was, but yeah, there's been creepy occurrences that's happened from those two dudes for a long time. Like, growing up, there's just a lot of creepy shit that has happened, but that was the one time it was like directed at me, and it was just, I never went down that road again. Needless to say, I stopped going through that shortcut. I just said, fuck that, I'm gonna go the long way every time. Fuck that.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience